right, welcome in everybody. Wow, the camera is a little bit off. Let me fix that real quick and then we will get into our episode here. I appreciate everybody for tuning in today. We have, this is episode 44 of the Tunesday Tuesday show, our live show each and every Tuesday night here on the show. And we have changed our format a little bit tonight. Obviously, usually we have one interview and about an hour and a half of music. Tonight we're going to have two interviews, one at 6 o'clock, which is right now, and one at 8 o'clock. And going forward, for at least the next month or two, we will have at least one episode or one interview every single Tuesday. And it'll just be an interview followed by 3 or 4 songs, okay? But tonight we have a recording artist from Virginia on the show. Really excited. He is a neo-traditionalist in the country music genre, which means new traditionalist, and we're really excited to chat with him. His name is Trace Nixon, and you were just listening to his song Secondhand Hold on Me, which is a great tune, and we are featuring another song from him a little bit later. But let's get into it with him, and let's see what makes Trace tick. Trace Nixon, what's up, man? Welcome to the show.
Chris, thanks for having me, buddy. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm so stoked to have you here because you're from Virginia, right?
Yes, sir. That's correct. Yep. Just born outside of in between Charlottesville and Richmond, Virginia, in a small town called Goochland.
Okay, so out in the boons, kind of, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's a pretty country little rural town, but everyone's pretty close and tight and sticks together. So yeah, I'm not complaining for being from there.
Yeah, what's the music scene like out in that area?
I've mostly been kind of stuck in the Richmond and like kind of Charlottesville, like out in the valley, those areas, and those two scenes are pretty different. Richmond has a lot of funk, a lot of soul, a lot of a little more on the jazzy side of things, and out in the valley region, there's a ton of bluegrass and a ton of other country bands, that play a lot of stuff similar to myself. So it's a good mix, and we're fortunate to have some great shows in both areas, and so it's always a good time.
So I understand that you kind of derive from a musical family as well, right? Your parents kind of got started in this thing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I mean it's been a lot of music in my lifetime. There's a joke that people tell me that my mom she actually had me during a set break, and then I went up and joined them in the second set. So.
I don't think that's probably the truth, right?
I wouldn't suppose, but yeah, man, they met playing music back in the late '80s, and I believe they were playing at the Old Dominion Barn Dance in Richmond, Virginia, and that's kind of where they got connected, and they started playing some music together through the '90s, and by the time I came along in '95, they were pretty much full force into it, and then from there, my mom made a switch to bluegrass around the late '90s, and that kind of took off for her, so she toured all through the nation and through the bluegrass scene. So yeah, man, I got a heavy dose of some good music growing up.
Yeah, I feel like that's the way it's going to be in that part of the country, right? That Appalachia kind of area where you're either going to be really deep into country or in really deep into bluegrass. And I mean, they're kind of first cousins anyway, right?
Exactly, man. You look at all the great country artists like Keith Whitley and Vince Gill, Ricky Skaggs. I mean, they all came from bluegrass, so it makes it a little bit easier once you get that strong background, I guess.
Yeah, so in that local scene, what's it like being kind of a second generation artist in that area? Like everybody probably knows your folks from there, right?
A lot of folks that come out to the shows, they end up coming up at some point and saying, "Man, I used to listen to your parents," or "How's your mom doing?" And so it's definitely something that I still think is very cool, when it happens, and it's happened a lot and often, but it's still something that I take a lot of pride in when they came up and said that they love listening to my parents back in the day. That definitely makes it a cool night for me.
Do you get comparisons too? Like people come up and compare you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's tough because my mom is incredible vocalist. So it's some big shoes to fill on that one, and but it's definitely I get a lot of hey, you're a good mix between both of them, so that makes me happy. So because there's definitely a lot of great sounds from both that I wish I could pull into my own.
Yeah, and kind of growing up in your life, you kind of had two passions too, right? You had sports and music, and that's really what it's like for a lot of us growing up, right? Like we go down one of two, and sometimes both. Was music and sports ever kind of in a tug of war for your attention at any point?
To be honest, not really. I was pretty much had that sports was that was going to be my kind of main focus growing up, and to be honest, I think it was just because I was I was exposed to just the level of musicians and the level of music at
Yeah,
such an early age. I just was like, man, that's there's no way I'm gonna get to this level, enough to do it at this point, So it was almost like, it was just so normal for me that I didn't let myself, dream it, or didn't let myself think I could
sure.
actually get there.
Yeah.
And so because of that, I probably turned a little bit more towards, just focusing on sports, and music was just something I also did a lot in the background, and so I'd say it was around in the college time frame. I started playing some other, or playing out a little bit, playing with some other musicians, and I was like, hey man, this is actually something I feel really comfortable doing, and that's kind of when it maybe took a little bit turn the other way.
I love that dynamic. So it was more or less like you talking yourself out of it because you didn't think you could reach that level, rather than being more kind of a rebellious nature against it. Like, oh, my parents do that. I don't want to do that, right? Like, ooh, that kind
Oh
of
no,
thing.
man,
Yeah.
no, it's definitely and to be honest, I had such just a deep level of I guess respect for the kind of music I grew up in. I just it was just something that was almost like a religion in my house,
Yeah.
or like
Yeah.
another school class. So when I think about music, I just hold it at such a high level of regard, to me. So it was almost like, hey, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta be sure I got my stuff together, because I don't want to go out there and give the kind of music I love a bad rap almost. So but yeah, no, it was definitely I've always loved it, and yeah, I've always been super proud of my parents for being able to get to where they did.
So when does that mentality change, right? Is it after the sports kind of comes and goes? Because I know, as somebody who loved sports as a kid and kind of played them all through school as well, at some point in time you find out, you know what, I don't have the talent for this, right?
But
Or
and
I'm not skilled
that's what
enough.
happened. Yeah.
Or an injury comes along and kind of puts an end to it. So did the mentality change after sports was kind of out of the picture, or was it still kind of there?
Um, I'd say, and I kind of got to the same level where I went to college to play baseball, and had a great couple years, and I just got to the point, like you're saying, where this is probably gonna be the ceiling for me in this, and you know kind of figuring out what's next, and I did the thing where I graduated, got the normal job, kind of settled into a little bit of a normal life, and music was just still always there though. Music's kind of always been the one constant in my life, that no matter what's going on, I guess in the front, music's kind of always just kicking in the background a little bit.
Yeah.
And so eventually there was really nothing else, to focus on other than music, So that's kind of when I think I really started shifting into, okay, how good can I get at this stuff,
And what were
So
your folks doing during this time? Because that's kind of a turning point for you, right? Like you're at that crossroads and decide where you want to be. So your folks, first of all, are they still playing out at that time? And are they maybe suggesting or recommending that you try what they're doing?
yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, they were actually playing right beside me. At that point in my life,
Awesome.
we got a little family band back together, and we pulled them into it. My uncle Mike, who was an incredible dobro player, and Mr. Steve Easter, who I consider family as well. So that was kind of the first real experience I had at playing, live shows out at places, was getting the little family band back together. So yeah, to answer your question, they were up there, with me, kind of as we were turning a little bit more into music, and so a big I guess mentor, you can kind of call it. They were both to me during that time, and really taught me a lot about playing live music.
Yeah, that's going to be helpful too, right? Because like if you don't have musicians in the family, a lot of times, you can have blue collar folks that don't look as music as a career or a real job, so to speak. So that had to be pretty helpful for you as an up and comer, right?
I mean, it was definitely helpful, because I mean, they couldn't sit there and say that it can't be done, because
Yeah, because they've been doing it. Yeah.
exactly. But on the other hand, they always said, it's hard, like it's hard living, it's you got to be able to put in some grind, and get not much in return for a little bit. So they always warned me, and I knew what I was kind of getting into. So, but like you said, having the experience from them, that's definitely more than a lot of folks probably have,
Yeah,
for
so that's
sure.
really valuable for you, not only seeing the pros of everything, but also kind of the drawbacks, the cons, the negative aspects of the business. That's got to be really helpful for you too, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely, man. And and like I said, I was just all around it growing up. I loved it. I loved going on the bus with them and going out for any kind of weekend runs I could. And I guess just being a kid, you soak everything up. So there's still things that happen when when I'm at a live show setting up or something, and I'm like, and all of a sudden I pull something from the archives of being 8 years old and seeing that happen, to my mom or something like that. So it's like it's just one of those things where you soak up more than you think. And it was just very very I guess blessed that I was able to grow up around that stuff.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a pretty clear dichotomy for an artist, right? Where you start off as a maybe most probably start off with vocals, and then you pick up an instrument, whether it's piano or guitar. Usually are the two common ones. At some point, you probably get into a band, and then something comes along and inspires you to write songs. So, what happened there for you, going from kind of musician to songwriter? How did you make that step?
Well, to be honest, man, I think I would say I was actually kind of like musician songwriter before vocals to me.
Wow.
Yeah, man, because like I said, I kind of really got into some good country music early on, and my dad was always really good at explaining songs to me and explaining the writers behind the songs. And so I kind of knew writers by the time I was 10 to 11. I
Wow.
would be able to talk about writers and kind of figure out which songs they were behind and everything. So I really took a liking to that side of things, probably before I was comfortable singing in front of people. And that was mostly just because, again, I grew up with two very very good singers. And just being a kid and not wanting to be embarrassed out in public, I was probably holding back from singing because of that. But yeah, I always loved playing guitar, and I always felt pretty confident in that. And songwriting was just something that I'm not a very good talker, expressing my feelings. So I did enjoy being able to write some songs when I was young and kind of get some stuff out. So that probably got me into a little bit more that way too.
And now you're a recording artist. So you're
I,
sitting
I
here.
fooled somebody.
Yeah, look. I mean, just look at how surreal it is to you. Like you just shook your head. Like you still can't believe this is real, and I love that. I love that mentality. You've reached the level of your parents, and you're probably beyond that now. How does that feel?
Oh well, I was I got a humble brag about my mom real quick. She did take home the female vocalist of the year in 2006 for bluegrass music. So I haven't got to that level yet, but just to even be in the same world as where they were, it is pretty surreal to me. And it's definitely something I'm trying to just have some fun with and
Yeah.
enjoy as I can, because I don't know when it's all going to come tumbling down,
Yeah, it's
But
just a very humble way to be, right, man? Just
well,
take your blessings as they come, and yeah, I love that, dude. The songs are great.
oh,
They're
thank you, man.
yeah, very traditional and '90s sounding. I'm assuming a lot of your influences are probably based in the '90s, based on what I'm hearing from your sound.
Yes, sir, absolutely. I mean, if I had to kind of list out like my top five, I definitely have Merle Haggard in there. So he's a little bit before the '90s, but he
Yeah,
inspired all the big '90s guys.
sure, yeah.
So, but yeah, big, George Strait, Keith Whitley, Alan Jackson, that kind of sound is really what drives home for me. And then obviously I'm always trying to reach for that Ronnie Millsap sound. That's like the pinnacle sound for me. So,
Hey, all right, man. Ronnie
um,
Millsap's been on this show, so there you go.
man,
Yeah,
I just don't think anybody did it better.
yeah. He was a hell of an artist. Very underrated, right?
Oh man, absolutely. And I mean, yeah, his voice is just could fill up a stadium.
Agreed.
But yeah, man, definitely some heavy influences from the 80s, 90s, and that all came from just listening to the music my parents played and listened to. So again, a lot of it's due to them for
Yeah.
sure.
How present are you in the studio when it comes to choosing the instrumentation for your tracks?
Well, I was so the team I'm working with down there, Charlotte Avenue. Will is a producer. He produced everything on the record, and luckily him and I had a really good, I guess, vision. We were on the same page as far as what we wanted everything to sound like, and we talked a lot about it. He knew all my influences and kind of where I wanted to go with everything. So he kind of ran some things by me, but really I let them kind of do what they do, man. I was a newbie. I didn't really I didn't have any experience recording in the type of studio we did. So I let them run with that, and they everyone did a great job, man.
Yeah, and the band name is Gone Country, right? It's not Trace Nixon in Gone Country. It's just Gone Country, which I love that.
Well, yeah, that's my '90s country band, here in Virginia, and I met all those guys through. I was a musician in other bands, before this. So like that's how I got tangled up with all these musicians now, and so when we kind of were trying to decide on some names, I just didn't want to put my name in front because I just, I'm the front man, but like I didn't want to ever seem like I was, out in front of anybody else in the band because they're all, just as great as
Yeah.
I wanted her to be, So I wanted to be a big group thing, and it's been a lot of fun, man, and I love playing with those
I
guys, and
understand that wholeheartedly, man. It took forever for me to put my name on my own show. So,
right.
yeah.
Well, like I said, I kind of just I don't know. It's tough thinking that you know Holly or I don't know what you call it. I just think that everyone deserves to be in the
It
spotlight
just
really
seems
when they're
weird, right? Like just to see your name there. Like it just seems
for sure.
weird.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Especially when it's we play a lot of covers, so
Mhm.
we're not out here doing like all originals or anything. So it's not like I'm writing these songs, So it's just
Yeah.
it really is about the song as a whole. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a tough thing.
Yeah, it's just weird, man. Yeah, I did 320 episodes under something called the ETX Rock Show, which it started off as being an East Texas thing, ETX, but it ended up being more
Okay.
of a global thing. And when we
Yeah.
decided to come back after 4 or 5 years of taking some time off, my wife and everybody around me was like, "It needs to be the Boston Chris Show. That's what it has to be." And I'm just like, man, I probably put it off an extra year just because I didn't want it to be that, right? Like it's just so
Yeah.
weird. And nobody knows who I am anyway, right? So it's like,
Oh yeah. Right,
who
man.
cares? Like nobody cares about my name being on a show or whatever. But yeah, it's super weird. Let's talk about the reason why you're here, man. First of all, I want to thank Martha for putting this together, man. She's helped us out with some really dope interviews. We had Tori Martin on the show recently as well, and
Oh yeah. Yep.
um,
Awesome.
yeah, so yeah, it's super cool to meet you and learn about you and
Yes,
listen to
sir.
your music. I've always been a fan of neo traditionalist country. Anyway, that's essentially the genre that you're in. I would imagine is what it's gonna boil down to. And the song we're talking about today is a perfect example of honoring that past, a tribute to the past of country music. Talk a little bit about this one's for Alan.
Yeah, man. Absolutely. So it's yeah, this is one that means a lot because this was actually my first release. So I released this song as a single independently last year in I guess April 2024, and it was just kind of my first, you know, hey, here's some original stuff out there, and it ended up opening some doors for me. So I'm really thankful for it. But yeah, man, it's just kind of a tune about the direction of country music and where it's gone a little bit, especially on mainstream radio. And there's just not really much. It hasn't been a lot of space for some traditional artists out there, or some little man songs as I like to call them, and just kind of wanting to just make sure that they don't get forgotten because they've been a big part of my life, and always trying to honor them when I can.
How do you feel about the shift? You talked about mainstream radio, country radio. I'm pretty interested in an artist's perspective on this. How do you feel about the shift of country music radio going towards kind of a mix of country and bluegrass? Call it Appalachia style music,
Mm-hmm.
the Sierra Ferrells and people
Yeah.
like that. I mean, you're from that part of the country, so how do you feel about the fact that that kind of music is really on the forefront now?
I love it, man. I like I said, first of all, you'll never hear me say like any kind of music doesn't belong in country music because that's, who am I to
Yeah,
say that?
right.
I have my preferences, but like I'm never gonna weigh in on that. But yeah, I love that side of things. I love the Sierra Farrells and the Sierra Halls and the Billy Strings and
Yeah.
Sturge, all those guys. Like I big fan of that sound. So the fact that it's starting to creep in, and you hear some more traditional stuff like Zach Top getting big number one recently, and it makes me happy. I love seeing it. So it's
Yeah, it just means
definitely
there's still a
yeah.
market for it out there, but it's really quite nice to see mainstream terrestrial radio kind of with a minor shift towards that kind of stuff. And
Absolutely,
it's
yeah.
exciting as a fan, isn't it?
It really is, and I think everyone should be excited for it because I mean I think it's pretty. You just listen to country radio in the last couple of years. I mean it's very monotonous,
Yeah,
and that's not saying the songs aren't great. There's some good songs in there, but it still sounds very similar to something else. That's probably going to be played a couple songs after. So the fact that there is some versatility and your ears get a little bit of range now, I feel like everyone should be happy about that.
Well, you remember when we were growing up, when a song came on the radio, we knew who the artist was, right? Like, even when it was
Absolutely.
a brand new song, we knew who they were just based on the vocals, and you cannot say that nowadays on country radio. I mean, and that's unfortunate, truly,
Absolutely. No, I agree with you. You said it perfectly, man. Absolutely. Yep.
All right, so we have Trace's pick of the week as well, and then we're going to play the songs, and we'll let Trace get on his way. But we always have our special guest pick a song to play as well from a different artist, and this can go multiple different ways. It can be a song that inspires them in some way from a legend or somebody that they grew up with, which is the case today, I think. And a lot of other times an artist will feature maybe an obscure song or an underrated artist or something like that. But what Trace has chosen this week is a fantastic song. It's Everything That Glitters Is Not Gold by Dan Seals. Out of all the songs in the world, why did you pick this one for your pick of the week?
Well, man, it's a little bit of a two-parter for me. Obviously, Dan Seals is definitely a huge influence for me. I love his sound, and also Bob McDill wrote this song with him, and Bob McDill is one of my favorite writers of all time. He has been a huge influence to me. And aside from it being just like you said, one of the best songs ever written. My sister was in love with this song, and she used to make my dad play it for when we were growing up. He probably played it 3 or 4 times a week because she would ask him to. And when I started playing and started singing, every time we'd even get the guitars out, I knew I was playing that song because she was gonna request it. And so it's just a song that really my sister and I shared a lot of special moments because of it. And she passed a few months ago, or I guess about a month and a half ago, so. It's just one that it's a little bit more special for me at this point in my life than it probably ever has been because I think back to all the really great times or special moments that her and I shared because of it. So
yeah,
it's one that means a lot to me right now.
Well, my condolences to you, Trace. I appreciate you so much for being here today, and open
Absolutely.
invite anytime you want to come back. Okay.
I really appreciate you having me, and we'll make it happen soon for sure. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely, man. You have a good rest of your night, and we're going to get into the songs that we were just talking about. You have a good one, Trace.
Good, dude. You as well. Thank you, man.
All right, my dude. All right, guys, we're going to get into the music here right now. Let me make sure everything is working here. I appreciate everybody who is tuning in across both platforms today. Let's see here. We should have access to our camera. Well, you know what? I am going to go ahead and play the song. This one is called This One's for Alan. And again, by our special guest this week, Mr. Trace Nixon. Y'all check it out.
Well, can someone please tell me, when did things change? Seems all that matters now is the money and fame. There's no more songs for the little man, just the high life thrill. Well, it seems everyone has forgotten them, but I never will. So this one's for Alan, this one's for George, for all those honky-tonk heroes who came before. Back when steel guitars and melodies really spoke the truth. Oh, how country music misses you. Well, sometimes I wonder, how can it be all the songs I grew up on are just memories? What's the going rate for souls these days? Seems like a record deal. Well, if you need me, I'm heading back in time when the songs were real. So this one's for Alan, this one's for George, for all those honky-tonk heroes who came before, back when steel guitars and melodies really spoke the truth. Oh, how country music misses you. This one's for Alan and King George, for all those honky-tonk heroes who came before, back when steel guitars and melodies really spoke the truth. Oh, how country music misses you. Oh, how country music misses you.
All right, this one's for Alan by Trace Nixon. And next up, we have Trace's pick of the week. Everything that glitters is gold. Is not gold, by Dan Seals from Texas, by the way.
Saw your picture on a poster in a cafe out in Phoenix. Guess you're still the sweetheart of the rodeo. As for me and little Casey, we still make the circuit in a one-horse trailer and a mobile home. And she still asks about you all the time. And I guess we never even cross your mind. But oh, sometimes I think about you and the way you used to ride out in your rhinestones and your sequins, with the sunlight on your hair. And oh, the crowd will always love you. But as for me, I've come to know everything that glitters is not gold. Well, old Red, he's getting older, and last Saturday he stumbled. But you know I just can't bear to let him go. Little Casey, she's still growing, and she started asking questions. And there's certain things a man just doesn't know. Her birthday came and you never even called. I guess we never crossed your mind at all. But then sometimes I think about you and the way you used to ride out in your rhinestones and your sequins, with the sunlight on your hair. And oh, the crowd will always love you. But as for me, I've come to know everything that glitters is not gold. Everybody someday I'm sure you're gonna know the cost. 'Cause for everything you win, there's something lost. But oh, sometimes I think about you and the way you used to ride out in your rhinestones and your sequins, with the sunlight on your hair. And oh, the crowd will always love you. But as for me, I've come to know everything that glitters is not gold. Ooh, everything that glitters is not gold.
All right, that was Trace's pick of the week. Dan Seals, Everything That Glitters Is Not Gold. And our last song of the night, we are going to do 3 songs a week, I think, perhaps 4. But our third song is going to be our latest podcast guest this week, coming out Friday, October 10th. This is the current single from my guest this week for episode number 108. This is Tori Martin with Cowgirls Ride.
Well, they raise them kind of restless in the reckless heart of Texas. Bust the bolts right off the fences. They're like tumbleweeds blowing. You can try, but you can't hold them. Queens of the unbroken, Mustangs running wild. Cowgirls ride. Let the cowgirls ride. Cowgirls ride. Let the cowgirls ride. Sing the cowgirls song. Ride and run. Do it with your lipstick on. They wear attitude like denim. You can bet you won't forget them. All sent from Western heaven. They're like songs of prairie daughters, baptized in the crazy waters. Shoot straight as a revolver. Their aim don't lie. Cowgirls ride. Let the cowgirls ride. Cowgirls ride. Let the cowgirls ride. Ride at dawn. Do it with your lipstick on. Hitch a trailer, run the barrels at the rodeo. Mama taught her what she knew, she was born to know. Cowgirls ride. Let the cowgirls ride. Cowgirls ride. Let the cowgirls ride. Lasso up, saddle up, get out your cowgirl. If you ain't heard, join the herd. 2 words. Cowgirls ride. You can't slow 'em down. Cowgirls ride. Ain't following the crowd. Let the cowgirls ride. Cowgirls ride. Blazing up the trail. Nothing's on their tail. Cowgirls ride. true. They're gonna do what they came to do. Couldn't stop them if you tried. Gonna do it till the day they die. Cowgirls ride.
All right, there was Tori Martin right there. Episode 108 will be out Friday, October 10th at 6 p.m. Y'all, please check that out. I want to thank Trace Nixon once again for being on the show tonight. Another great artist. We have so many blessings to be able to talk to all kinds of folks that are just super creative, like Trace, every single week. This was episode 44 already of Tunesday Tuesday. And again, the format has changed. So a little bit later tonight, we will be going live again for the second time tonight in about an hour and 20 minutes with a singer-songwriter named Celeste Marie Wilson. Do not miss that. Without any further ado, I appreciate everybody for checking us out tonight. Y'all make sure you please follow my friend Trace. He is on Instagram at Trace Nixon _music, and Facebook is Trace Nixon Official, and you can follow us everywhere at The Boston Chris Show. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in about an hour or so. Y'all don't go anywhere.